welcome back. It's another Creaky Gamers Battle Report.
Okay, g'day viewers, welcome to another battle report, and as you can hear by the drums, the forces of Cathay are invading. So, just a local friendly tournament with lots of new players and so on, so expect some unpainted armies in this video. Look away now if that offends you. But we've got a grand Cathay army. So round one I drew against Cathay, which I was interested to see because I have not read a single thing about Cathay. I don't want to get tempted by a new army or anything. So I got my Chaos army out, and now that dragons have been nerfed, I don't feel so bad bringing a Chaos dragon. So he's been painted for ages, this dragon, but I haven't put him on the table, and I limited myself to 500 points. There wasn't anything in the comp pack for the day, but I limited myself to the 500-point dragon, and I wanted to get him out on the table. Then I got my sorcerer on a chariot. He's worth 425 points, and he doesn't get many spells off these days, and see why you have to put a Zinch guy in a unit to get some bonuses. And I forgot my Chaos Hounds, so he ended up with some useless Chaos gift. I had Chaos Hounds everywhere, and I just forgot to put them in the box. So I played without my Chaos Hounds. They would have been very handy in some cases. I gave him some useless, like a Sailment Chaos gift or something. Anyway, there's the deployment. So you can see I've got 3 balloons across the table from me. So I can... That's my list, mainly Marauders. 4 units of Marauders with great weapons and shields. Units of 16. The 2 spawn, and my dragon and my sorcerer on the chariot, and that's basically it. I was missing my hounds. They would have been handy here sometimes to deflect things. Anyway, I just want to see I'm hoping that the Marauders will be able to pack a punch with the great weapons and the shields, but the balloons, Marauders are the easy prey for the balloons, we find out. Anyway, have a look at the Cathay army. He's started painting the characters. He's got a Shogun Lord or whatever it is. I don't know what all their names are, but basically he's got 2 characters. One's a level 4 and one's a level 2, and they can both fight pretty well. The 3 balloons, and there's like I don't know what it is, the engineer or something is in the black one, I think. And a couple of units of infantry. He's got the cannon with the ogre in there, and the bombard with the ogre crew as well. I don't even know what the ogre crew does. And a unit of lancers. So that's the army. So it'll look great when he gets it all painted up. But we want to get him on the table so we can learn the rules. And neither of us know anything about the rules about the balloons. I thought he would have known what they did, but there we are. That's what they should look like. I don't know any. I didn't even looked at them. So luckily, about halfway through the game, I decided to look up what they actually do, and we got a few rules wrong with the balloons, but it was interesting to see what they do on the table. All right, let's get on with the battle. Oh, before we start, here is my deployment, and there's my Marauders. I've given them shields and great weapons, so I can play defensive or offensive, depending on what they're doing. There's the mighty Kivanovich, the bloody angry. He's painted up as Khorne, but he's just undivided. Everyone's undivided in this list at the moment. I just sort of paint him up as Khorne, but Khorne Frenzy's been nerfed, I think. You only get it on the charge, so it's not really worth having to charge and so on. And there's the deployment, so we are just lined out. Hopefully we can get to grips with them. And we win the roll-off. So Chaos wins the roll-off, and we force the Cathay army to go first. I think that's right in the new rules, isn't it? The winner of the roll-off now gets to choose to go first or second. That's what we did anyway. If I've read that wrong, let me know. But that's so the Cathay are going to be going first. They're just going to move up and do some shooting, I think. So they've moved the cavalry up a little bit. That's the level 2 up on the rock, and the level 4 guy is the blue one, I think, from memory. And the balloons have moved up. And at this point, I didn't know, but the balloons have got scout. And they've got reserve move. So he's playing the first half of the game. Well, he played the whole game without scout and reserve move. We didn't look it up till later on. And then The bombard drops a bomb on some marauders, and then in my turn I've moved up and I've just sort of thrown the spawn in front of his lancers there. I don't know if they're any good, the lancers. They've got some different rules for their lancers, we find out. I've got a decent Gaze of the Gods. He's got +1 attack. Kivanovich, and the sorcerer gets +1 attack. And I've just sort of pushed the marauders up. And you notice that his cannon is missing. Even with the ogre reroll, he rolled a double misfire, and then he rolled a 1. So that was good luck for me, bad luck for the Cathay army. He lost his cannon, destroyed itself on turn 1, even with the ogre reroll. So I'm off to a good start. I'm ahead already. Let's stop the game. Call it quits. Stop the game. We're ahead. He's lost his cannon. Anyway, we'll go on to turn 2. What happens? Okay, so let's have a look at the situation. I've threw that spawn up there as far as he would go to try and get to grips with the balloons or the infantry, or do something with him before he gets shot off the table. But I'm lucky that his cannon blew up, so that has helped me a lot. So his lord's going to go into the spawn, and then the balloons are just going to float forward. Yeah, so that's the big lord, the level 4 one, and he's going to fight the spawn for a couple of turns, I think. We'll see what the outcome of that will be over the course of the next couple of turns. And then he's double charged here. The lancers and his other hero is just there with the dice, so he didn't fit because of his wings. I got huge wings of the dragon, and his big wings he didn't quite fit in there, so he's in there. Yep. Then the balloons have moved forward. This is the problem with the balloons. They're such huge models that he has to keep taking them off the stand. So one's sitting there on the hill, but they can't tip over even the slightest bit because they're so top heavy. They're just too big. I think they're fantastic models, but they really stand out on the table. And this is where the shooting has begun. And so I've got plenty of marauders there, but the balloons just moved up. And we did make a mistake. They were firing their guns and their bombs at the same time, but they can only fire one, apparently. We sorted that out later on, but it was too late for my marauders, who were absolutely decimated. And I've got these marauders out on my right flank, facing his smaller unit. And my marauders will go in there in my turn. There's the pile of dead marauders is starting to pile up. It was his bombard and all the shooting there. We've got 2 left out of 16 there, and 3 left in the other unit. So they've just absolutely decimated my marauders. But they were firing both guns, which I don't think is right. We sorted that out later on, and they're duking it out there. The hero on whatever the little mini dragon thing is, Shugun Lord or whatever, fighting the spawn. So they're fighting it out. I've lost a whole bunch of marauders, and his double charge on my spawn on this side doesn't go so good. He doesn't, he might do maybe 1 wound on them, so the spawn wins that combat actually and pushes them back. So that was good for me. Yeah, so the lancers, they lost 4 lancers by the look of it. 3 or 4 lancers went down, and the spawn actually wins that combat. So this spawn is going very well. The other one, not so great. And then I've got some marauders there ready to go in support of the spawn. And that's the situation. You see the balloons sort of dominate the table, don't they? They're huge, absolutely huge. Very easy to knock over. You have to be careful if you painted them. So I'm going to, he's going to flee the charge from these marauders in a minute. And on that side, I'm going to send my marauders here into his infantry unit. I'm not sure what they are, Jade Warriors or something, I guess. So my marauders go in there. They don't do so well. And my last of my marauders, and 2 marauders hit that balloon, and these ones charge in the lancers, and he decides to flee that charge from them. And so the lancers will get away. It'll be a failed charge for those marauders. And then my spawn will go into his hero. And Kivanovich himself, he's going to go after the bombard. I'm done with that bombard shooting me, but I haven't got any targets for him anymore. Most of the marauders are dead, but he's going to go in there. So these marauders go in here. I actually lose the challenge. I charge with great weapons, and I maybe do 1 wound, and then they get beat up. They actually break, my marauders. And the Spawn is fighting the hero there. Kivanovic is going to kill the Bombard. I'm not sure how the Ogre works, if he can issue a challenge or not. But anyway, he finishes off the Bombard, and these Marauders actually break the balloon. But then we realise later on there's another rule we got wrong, but the balloons are actually unbreakable. So, and they don't have swift stride. So we made a couple of mistakes here and had to reverse a few things. But anyway, so we made a few mistakes. They've got scout, they've got reserve move, and they're unbreakable. They don't have swift stride. So a few things we got wrong. We're learning. Okay, well, let's have a look what happens the rest of the battle anyway. It's some interesting things, interactions here and stuff. You'll notice there's my level 4 sorcerer here. He actually charges that balloon that broke and fled with swift stride. Then we reset all that, so that was a big mistake. So my sorcerer actually is still in combat with that. We fix it up in a minute, but my sorcerer is still fighting that balloon, which is unbreakable, so he's just there. The Spawn and Lord are fighting there, and I've got a couple of Marauders into this balloon, which is pinning it in place, because Kivanovic on his dragon has turned around. He's going to come in and start murdering a couple of balloons here in a minute. So that combat's going on, and there's my poor Marauders fleeing, and he has rallied his Lancers, and he won that combat there with the Spawn, and he's turned around to try and cast a hex onto the dragon. I think that's what he was trying to do there. There's my Marauders. There's only a few left. They charged in and they failed dismally. I thought they would do better. I had all those attacks with great weapons, like on the charge. I think I had 8 attacks with great weapons and only killed one, and then he turned around and killed a couple and then beat me up and I broke. So that was no good. Yeah, so my sorcerer, he's got extra attack and so on, and I think I did manage to get maybe one spell off or something, but in the whole game, my level 4 only got probably one spell off. It's so hard to cast spells without bonuses, so I have to rethink that. I think I'm just going to skip magic and just go for magic resistance. That's my plan at the moment, unless you invest heavily into it. And a couple of Marauders there are going to be key, because they're going to charge the rear of his Lord and pin him in place. There's Kivanovic, the bloody angry. He is into one of the balloons here, pinned in place by the Marauders, and he's going to destroy a balloon. So that's some small victory after all the mistakes we made with the balloons. And we'll give my final thoughts on the balloons in a minute. But he still has his Lord. He's and I'm going to pin him in place with those couple of Marauders and finish off the balloon that was there. And a couple of other combats, and my Spawn actually on the left flank, you just see him in the corner there. He finishes off the Lancers and then gets like a 17-inch move over to get back into the battle. His Lord's pinned in place, and then Kivanovic is going to get stuck into his Lord. Yeah, so Kivanovic is there. He's there. Kivanovic, the bloody angry. And then he tries to kill my sorcerer on the chariot. He breaks and runs and flees, and then the Spawn gets stuck into him. So that was a bit of a comedy of errors over there. And the dragon on Lord, his Lord flees from combat, gets away. And by about that time, we've made so many mistakes, and it's a bit of a mess, that we decided just to call it a draw, because we had a good game. It was good fun, but we were both looking up rules for the lanterns all the time. So the lanterns are really good. I'll list up all their rules here. I need to go through them myself again. But the things we missed was Scout. If you knew they had Scout, they could have deployed like behind me or something probably, and would have been heaps more effective. They also have reserve moves, so they can move up, drop their bombs, and then move back again. And they're unbreakable. So when you charge them, they can also do I think it's a leadership test, or you roll a 4+ or something. Anyway, there's a little test where they can just float away, and you have a chance to instead of they move back, they fall back D6, and if you follow up 2 inches, you stay in contact with them. Anyway, they have a whole bunch of rules, so you have to read them carefully, write them down, and so on. I've never seen them before. I hadn't read the rules. I'd seen the pictures and stuff. So I think they're pretty good for their points, but yeah, my Marauders were perfect targets for them. and he was shooting twice with the guns and the bombs, so it probably exaggerated their effectiveness versus the Marauders. Marauders aren't a good sturdy target for them. But anyway, I think they're too big. That's my only criticism of them. And there's a lot of rules to learn. And can the champion on them issue a challenge or whatever? I don't know if that makes any difference. We looked up that for a while, and I was asking questions on different places to try and get an answer. So they are a lot of rules. It'll take a little while to get used to them. So make sure you have a read of the rules before you face them. There's a lot of things to remember. Anyway, we eventually just called it a draw in the end. We both killed about 800 points of stuff, and we called it a draw. And then we went on to next round, and I'll be facing a horde of undead. All right, thanks for watching. The balloons are pretty good. Okay, bye for now.
This show is awful. Terrible. Disgusting.
See you next week, of course.